I'll ask you all to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ms. Felice, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay, just a few reminders, the emergency exit locations in the back of the room and to my right, your left. In the event of an emergency, please leave in an orderly fashion through these exits. This is a smoke-free school district. Smoking is not permitted on the building anywhere, it's not a smoke-free and a vape-free school district, that's missing. Smoking and vaping is not permitted in the building or anywhere on school grounds. This is a hate-free and a bully-free school district. Moving on to item C.
My apologies. The administration recommends approval of board consent items reflected in Schedule C1 through C5.
C1 through 5, can I have a motion? Ms. Felice, seconded by Ms. Kavanaugh. I just have one quick question. For the item 5, the new school board member dinner, is that in anticipation, or we spoke to all three trustee-elects in there?
That's in anticipation.
In anticipation, so, okay, great.
And I have a question on the treasurer's report. Can I just ask a few questions on the treasurer's
Sure.
report? Should I direct them to you?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so on page 17, it's item number A, 2110, 131, where it says, it
Page
shows.
again, I'm sorry.
Page 17, it's the number 17, the handwritten 17.
Oh, okay, handwritten
18.
17.
Yeah, handwritten 17.
Which is 18, should be 18 on the board doc slide. Can I have that number again, the one number?
Yeah, hold on. So it would be A 2110, 131-00.
Salary teachers home, okay.
Right. So it's showing a negative balance of 48,000. Does that mean we overdrew that line?
Yes.
Okay. So what, where are we gonna, are we overdrawn? Are we?
No, we're not overdrawn.
replenishing?
So
What
this
does
is-
that mean?
These are budgetary numbers, doesn't represent money in our general fund.
So
So
what
we
does
had
that mean?
budgeted for $120,000. Those
Yeah.
are all the kids who are in home instruction due to various reasons, medical, long-term suspensions. So we just had an increase in that this year.
So it shows that we budgeted 120,000 for that line, but we expended 168,000.
So far, yep.
So what do we do to refund that line if it's overdrawn by 48,000?
Do balance transfers.
We do, so when do we, so we're gonna expect to see a budget transfer
Yeah, there'll be a budget.
subsequent?
Correct.
Because this is the March,
Correct.
so did we see it already, or we're gonna see it?
I'm not sure.
We don't know
We
yet.
will see.
All right. So then the same thing happened in, next page, 18, with teachers' aides, on 2110, 164-5. Same thing happened in that line. Actually, there's no budget for that line, but we expended $8,000, but we encumbered $11,000, and now we have.
Yeah, that could just be like I'll find out, and I'll put it in the update. That could just be sort of a correction.
Would you do that?
Yep.
Thank you.
164.
Trying to get a handle on, because this is the year that we had this overrun, so trying to get a handle on where this overrun came from.
Well, I don't know that it's an overrun. Basically, these are just budgetary numbers. Remember, budget's a tool, doesn't represent real numbers.
Well, we keep being told that the cost overrun came out of nowhere. It had to come out of somewhere.
No,
So
we know where
that's
it
what
came from. The cost came from our transportation costs, our health insurance costs, increased special education costs, and a decrease in state aid, all working sort of in tandem
Well,
together.
All right, but we still have to look at these numbers too, as to try to plug that gap. So, another line we have here on, you also said that you had put like a freeze on textbooks, correct?
That's for next year.
For next year, not even this year, didn't you put a
So
stop
we
on purchasing?
We stopped purchasing in February unless there's things that come up. There are emergency situations, but typically this year, we typically stop our purchasing around March.
Okay.
And so everything needs to be encumbered by then, because there are exceptions, of course, like graduation costs and things that come up. But we stopped purchasing in February unless there was some sort of need.
So then that would make sense for this, because this is March, the March treasurer's report.
Which number are you looking at now?
Okay, so next page, 19. So we're talking about textbooks for high school. Line A, 2110, 480-07. So we have a
Page.
budgeted line of 61,935. We expense,
Which line are you looking at? I'm sorry.
that's okay.
It's about a third of the way down. Textbooks, high school, 2110, 480-07.
Yeah, that's the line I'm looking at.
2110, 480.
So
Got it.
so that line in particular.
Yep.
We budgeted 61,935, and we spent 39,481. So we still have $22,000 left in that line, but did we stop spending for this year?
Across the
Textbooks?
board, the direction to all of our administrators was to stop any new purchases after.
So does
February.
that line, does that $22,000 remain available?
So again, these are budget numbers, not general fund numbers, so that budget line is still available.
And I think you're confusing next year as opposed to this year.
What was that, Joe?
I think you're confusing next year's budget as opposed to this year's budget.
No, I know these are this year's numbers.
Okay.
Yep. Page 22.
And-
I'm sorry, page 21. Handwritten page 21.
Okay. Yeah.
And again, it's like 6 numbers down. It's gonna be A2250, .120-05, so salary, Spanish-speaking elementary.
So
Actually,
was the
these are
budget
gonna be
line-
That's
salaries,
that.
never mind,
Special ed.
never mind,
Special
never mind. Special ed, you're right, never mind, and that's salaries, never mind. Okay, so that just, actually, no, let's go back to that. So that's salaries. So, again, we're showing that it's budgeted, this is 05, so this is Kramer Street. So we budgeted for that,
What line are you looking for?
05,
05.
2250, 12005.
It's like 7 or 8 down.
So it's Kramer Street. So what's budgeted for that line is 298,000.
Right.
It's got a negative 142.
It's got a negative 142. So if we budgeted for salaries for that line, we should know what the salaries are gonna be for that line. Why are we showing that there's a negative
Well, we
balance
shouldn't if we get
available?
new
Not if it
special ed
changes.
students throughout the year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was part of the
Okay.
We
budget
also
issue
added,
we
I
talked
believe
about
we
earlier.
added.
So when do we
additional
adjust those lines?
By the end of the year, then that's when we get our audit report, all this stuff should be rectified.
So as more students come in, but we say we have a decline in enrollment, but now we're saying we have more students come in, so we have to,
We have
so it costs
more
more?
special ed students,
more special ed students?
correct.
Okay. So when do we make those budget adjustments
You
to
don't-
account for the?
budget from last year.
The budget from last year is static, and so so the transfers, so for accounting purposes, you wanna make sure everything gets squared away. Some of these things may stay a negative number, it just means that we under budgeted for those, specific lines where you see a negative. Again, the negative doesn't represent like, how do I say it, like.
Negative bank balance.
From an
Negative
accounting
balance.
perspective, you need to
This
know
is-
where you were to where you're going.
Are you answering me, or is the,
I can if you'd like.
oh, okay, should I be asking Joe the questions?
I think everybody can, any of the trustees can comment, but the answer is, basically, this is an accounting tool. So if you budget $100
Change
for something that ultimately costs you $120, you under budgeted by $20. So accounting words, this is what kind of guides us when we sort of draft a budget for the upcoming school year. So once a budget is adopted, then we look back, and we look back at the prior year, and you look through all these lines, and you sort of make these adjustments. It's part of the accounting process. But again, these numbers don't, with the actual, the expense stuff represents actual numbers, but again, these are just budget. And if it's encumbered, that money is not spent yet, it's just money that.
Right, because you know what's coming in, so you want to make sure you put that money aside because you know what the expenses are going to be, understood. So let's
you'll
go
see-
down,
You'll see positive and negative numbers, yes.
all right, let's go down to the last item on that page. Contracted
Yep.
services. 2250, 401,
Correct.
00. So there we have budgeted $1,052,500. And yet we have available negative
Not that
$277,000.
we have
What's
it
that?
available, that basically means that whatever those contract services are, which are district-wide, could be BOCES, those expenses increase, so our budget, we under-budgeted for it, but doesn't mean we don't have the money to pay for it.
So where are we gonna pull the money from?
We have the money.
We have this doesn't represent actual dollars.
Cheryl?
There's like this, hold on, this says that there's positive numbers on the sheet as well, right? So unless at the end, when it rectifies as a negative, there's not an issue, because we don't approve the spending plan, we approve the dollar amount.
And you do it,
And I know,
Much like we
we get
approved
budget
the
transfers
budget.
all the time, there's no budget transfers
it's
on
not gonna
this
change
agenda,
next
as I
September.
recall. No, there's not any today. No, all right.
Okay.
And you'll see
Any
some
other-
of the numbers are positive, pretty substantial amounts as well. So it's like, remember, there's only one general fund. And so these are all budget lines.
And the budget was established last year,
Correct.
if you remember. That doesn't change what it is. The expenditures can change.
That's right.
I'm just
Any,
wondering,
any other questions on the treasurer's report?
let me just check. I don't believe so, but let me just check. All right, I think that was it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. Moving on to item D, communications and announcements. Oh, fast, tip open. Take 2 minutes.
There's a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks. All right.
Talk fast.
All right, thank you. So this is my superintendent's report. First and foremost, I want to first start by saying I'm really appreciative of the community support in passing our budget. This is sort of a bittersweet sort of feeling, because along with the budget, we had, substantial sort of staffing reductions that always sort of stings, and I sort of feel for those people who were affected. But ultimately, we passed a budget that's going to be able to support our programs and continue the momentum that we've established over the last couple of years. The budget vote included Proposition 1, which is our proposed budget, use of our capital reserves to finally rectify our sort of deteriorating track at the high school, in addition to a couple of boilers at the high school, and some new windows in the gym that have been leaking and damaging the gym floor at an expense to the school district. So I just want to thank all the South Country voters, all of the different organizations that helped us in developing the budget, the Board of Trustees for their unwavering support even through this challenging times. I certainly appreciate the pressure that you may have felt from community members. It was a tough budget season, and I want to thank the South Country staff for their collaboration in making these decisions and helping move us forward. And of course, I want to thank Chris Flynn. I always give you a special shout out. I don't know what time you start during the budget vote, but I know it's before 7 a.m. and you're there till well after 10 o'clock. So thank you for being so diligent in how you organize and just manage the whole voting process. It's always a smooth process, so thank you very much, Chris Flynn. So just to give you a sense of what the school budget pays for, we've got a lot going on in the last 2 weeks. First and foremost, I'm really excited to announce that last year we got about 7 graduates achieved the seal by literacy. That number went up to 40 students, and they're achieving the seal in 3 languages, Spanish, French, and Italian, or Italian I should say, because none of the students did it in multiple languages as far as I know. But that's a potential too. So I really want to give a big shout out to Monica Tenchwan and all of our world language teachers. Stephanie Murray also helped, and Mr. Puma, Ms. Erica Del Rosa, who judged their presentations. But it's really cool to see these kids earn this additional accolade, and our hope is to see that number grow in subsequent years. We also had a great couple of days of civic engagement in our Billport Middle School at Civic Day 1. I want to give a special thank you for New York State Senator Dean Murray, Legislator Dominic Thorne, who presented to the kids and also sat for their presentations. And their topics included after-school activities, mental health, lateness to class, study center, and electives. It was a great day of just watching students present. We actually had presentations in 2 languages. Some of the students presented in Spanish, which is pretty cool. And I know the event was enjoyed by Trustee Pacini, Trustee DeLillo, who attended, and Trustee Barry as well. It was a great day of civic engagement. But it didn't stop at one day. We had an additional day of civic presentations for our 7th graders. And I really want to give a big shout out and thank you to Town Supervisor Dan Panico and Town Clerk Kevin Laval, who attended and presented to the kids. You know, the students get a kick out of having actual elected officials speak to them. And I want to thank Trustee Felice, Trustee Hayes, and Trustee DeLillo for attending on that particular day. Their topics included vaping, water quality, school lunch, which comes up every year, air conditioning, lateness class, a weight room, and turf fields for the middle school. So really great, and again, I want to remind the board and the community that a little over 90% of our students earn the seal of civic readiness as graduates at graduation. It's a great accolade to all of our social studies teachers, Ms. Bevan specifically at the middle school, and Dr. Blazek, who is here for being our connection to our political and elected officials. We appreciate your efforts. And again, big shout out to the entire social studies and special education department, because we did have NENL teachers who had worked with our special education students and English language learners. I also had the great pleasure of attending live from Bellport Saturday night. The variety show's theme was Saturday Night Live, which was celebrating its 50th anniversary. It was really a great show. Certainly made me feel nostalgic when they did characters such as the Blues Brothers, the Coneheads, King Tut. It was just a fantastic night. We had solo performances, musical performances, comedy skits. I just thought it was really fantastic. So big shout out to all the teachers and staff involved and the fantastic students who put on a wonderful show. Moving on in terms of the performing arts, we had a great concert at Brookhaven. I was unable to attend the evening event because I had a very special event that I'll cover in a later slide. A big shout out to our music staff there. Not just that, we had our art show at Brookhaven. And I just love, one of the biggest perks I have as a superintendent is that I get to see the growth of our students starting from third grade in this case, and kindergarten. We talk about the fine arts and just the progress they make along the years when you see them perform as third graders and then continue on all the way to 12th grade. I also attended the Kramer Street concert. That was last night, an art show. It was a lot of fun. The kids were on their recorders. They did some choreographed dancing, some solos. Big shout out to the music staff there. And also attended our art show, Into the Wild, which was themed with animals, which was a lot of fun. And again, I love to see the creativity, not just from the students, but the teachers who sort of inspire them to be creative and to put out such great work. Moving along the same lines, I went too fast. I attended the spring concert for Frank P. Long. I'm almost always amazed at the sheer number of students who participate in these concerts. I mean, the pictures kind of capture it, but the amount of kids in our string orchestra, and our band, and our chorus is just remarkable. I do love that the music staff at Frank P. Long has students present the songs that they're singing, sort of a little background and give us a little bit of education about the song selections. So the kids did a great job narrating that. So again, a shout out to the music staff at Frank P. Long. And I attended the chamber concert at the middle school, which was also fantastic, featuring our South Country Singers, our chamber orchestra, our clarinet choir. And that was also a fantastic event, and the first time we started highlighting some of the middle school art, which is equally impressive. I'll give the shout out at the end because it continues. I went to the first spring concert at the middle school, which was, again, ultra impressive. I feel like each year I watch these kids perform, they get better and better. And even in terms of like, this first concert was all sixth graders. Again, the sheer number of kids who are performing on that stage is remarkable to me. And so I love the fact that we have such a robust music program in our schools. They did a fantastic job, which almost outdone because they're all equally fantastic by the second spring concert featuring our 7th and 8th graders, which again, you know, I love bragging about it, but a big shout out to Angelina Watson and all of the music teachers and everybody involved in making these things happen. One of the funny things about this concert is our middle school sound system needs some little tender love and care, and at one point we were getting feedback from microphones, so we actually had to sort of do a little duct tape remedy, and that duct tape was our valedictorians, that literally kneeled down and held a microphone in front of the stage for the entire performance. So we're happy to see her come back and participate, helping volunteer with our music students in the music program. So it was a lot of fun. I want to thank you very much. So shout out for making it happen. We are going to be looking to update that analog soundboard so that we don't get the interference. But apparently every time a truck passes, we get interference in the middle school. We have to fix that. Chamber concert at the high school, again, pretty fantastic. All these kids who perform in these groups do so after school. This is not part of their normal music curriculum during the day. That's why they have a separate concert. again, so many of these students are achieving such amazing accolades. We have one student who is a junior who's gonna be auditioning for Juilliard, which is really an amazing accomplishment. But these kids really are getting great accolades. Young adults, I should say, high school students, Lawrence, don't be offended if I call you kids. And then, there's no surprise that, again, South Country was selected as the best communities for music education. So big shout out again to our music staff, Emily and Watson, for all the fantastic stuff they do with our students. It really is remarkable to me. That's the performing arts part. We also have an amazing fine arts program, and these are just a few of the images of all of the artwork I saw at our district-wide art presentation. I know some of them are small, but I must have taken over 100 photographs because I was so impressed by the artwork on display. So much so that I separated it on 2 different slides. On the left there, you see the senior boards, which is a collection of some of our seniors and the work they put together. And some of it is just like mind-boggling to me. It's so impressive, and they use all these different medium. So again, I'm not naming teachers specifically, but big shout out to all of our teachers, our art staff. Just like I tell music teachers, I don't know how you manage like 110 kids and get them to work in synchrony, and you hear when kids are out of tune. Our teachers, I don't know how you manage kindergarten kids with paint and all this stuff. I remember I used to get frustrated with my own kids when they try to do arts and crafts. So big shout out to all of our teachers for producing such wonderful and inspirational work. Some of our South Country happenings happen outside of the school district or in the school district. We had a Compass Unity parent workshop and discussion surrounding the detrimental adverse effects of marijuana. This was hosted by Compass Unity, Ms. Robinson, as well as a representative from the Suffolk Department of Health and the Tobacco Action Coalition. Trustee Puccini joining me in this workshop, which is pretty informative. And I wish more parents would come out to sort of learn more about marijuana use, because marijuana use and the marijuana that people have access to these days is not the marijuana of yesteryear. They have potential risks associated with it. So we're going to continue working with Compass Unity, which is funded through a grant, which we were able to get for 5 years to continue our sort of drug awareness work, or substance use awareness work. I also was interviewed by the newspaper club at Frank P. Lawn. It was a pretty intensive interview, so it was I got a kick out of that. I love my interactions with students. I also attended the dual language kindergarten parent meeting. Again, we're happy to keep our dual language program intact despite our staffing reductions and budget cuts. It really is a great program. I benefited from the dual language program as a child. I was an English language learner as a kindergartner, and I learned all my English in public school. So I'm certainly someone who really is a big advocate. I also got to participate in the career day at Bellport Middle School. It's a group of very enthusiastic 6th graders who have all sorts of ambitions, so it was great to get engaged in conversations with them about college and just planning for the future. And whether they're too young to really know exactly what they'll be doing as adults, it was great to engage in conversation and field questions. I also attended the Bellport Middle School Spring Fling for our 6th graders. Like I say, we have a big, rambunctious group of 6th graders. They were getting their groove on. It was a lot of fun, so I was happy to join them for a few moments on that Friday night. And I finally got out to see some spring sports, specifically a lacrosse game and a softball game. It was a beautiful Friday afternoon. I was so glad I was able to get out of the office finally and enjoy some sports with Trustee Barry, Trustee DeLillo, and the rest of the crew there. It really was an amazing afternoon. I just wanted to give a big shout out to Lauren. I know she's been playing lacrosse, but to all of our spring athletes for, again, a great season that somehow quickly is coming to an end. Outside of the school district, I got to go to the annual South Country Ambulance Officer Induction ceremony along with Trustee Felice. Really great event. A lot of notable people were there, so I was glad for the invitation, and I'm really appreciative of the ambulance company's support, not just in terms of responding to emergencies, but in terms of the professional development they gave. They did a stop the bleed training for our staff, they do CPR training for our staff. I just want to give a shout out to the ambulance company. I also got to attend the New York State Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents annual conference, which is a highlight, which was also important because basically what we do is we try to advocate to serve all students. But it was great to meet with Commissioner Betty Rosa, New York State Superintendent of the Year, Ray Sanchez. We got to meet an author, Juana Borges, who did a great keynote address. It was really energetic. But really the highlight, the man at the bottom, he's a former assemblyman and councilman from New York City, Guillermo Linares. He's also the president of the Higher Education Services Corporation for New York State. He helps kids pay for college. But when he was a councilman, he met my mother, and he was like my mom's favorite politician. So I'm not endorsing, he's not in politics anymore. But when I showed her the picture, even at 84 years old, she got teary-eyed, and she said, oh my God, he's such a wonderful man. She worked for an organization that he ran years ago. So I was glad to touch base with him and kind of give him that feedback of how he impacted my mother, which is really nice. And the reason I missed the Brookhaven concert was I got the honor to attend the Our Community Salutes event. This is where we commemorate all students who enlist in the military upon graduation. For Bellport High School, we acknowledge 2 kids, Luis Satalici, he's going to be joining the Army right after graduation, and Miguel Cortez, who will be a Marine. So I want to give him a big shout out. And the highlight of the evening is one of the speakers is always Rear Admiral Quinn. He's the class of 1978. So to speak to him and get his perspective how things change at Bellport and have him speak to our current student is amazing. But it's such a wonderful and patriotic event that you leave there just feeling good. And I want to thank Trustee Pacini for joining me for that event. We also engaged, several of us engaged in support of Mental Health Awareness Week. We want to stop the stigma on mental health and make sure we educate kids to sort of talk about how they're feeling, not just in terms for their own benefit, but for the benefit of their peers. So Principal Clark accepted the Ice Bucket Challenge, where he had a bucket of ice water dumped over his head, and so he challenged me to the challenge, so I had to one-up him. I got 2 gallons, or 2 buckets of ice water dumped on me in a full suit, but I was outdone by Jackie O'Hagan, who did it in her full dress, and heels. Sorry, I had to include you in this one. And she did this, and she had students dump the water over her, which is a risky proposition. So, but she was a great sport, and yeah. So it's. I just want to thank all the staff members. I know several teachers engaged in the Ice Bucket Challenge. Students. It really was a feel-good sort of activity that spreads awareness about something really important. And if you're interested in all that stuff, again, follow us on social media. When I first started a couple of years ago, we really had a very little social media presence. Now all of our buildings, different departments, have a pretty robust social media presence, advertising, all the great things we're doing as a school district. And again, that's a credit, to all of our teachers and staff who really make the learning experience here in South Country so special. Again, if you want to keep in touch, we have a community portal that community members can subscribe to. All of our social media links that I mentioned can be found on this link, as well as at my Superintendent's Corner, which is updated on a monthly basis, access to my contact information, my social media handles, as well as my weekly update that gets published every Friday. And I'm really happy to announce that this antiquated looking website is really no more. We'll be launching our new website on July 1st. So really excited about our new website. It's going to be fabulous, user-friendly, and I'm excited to sort of launch that at the start of our new school year. That concludes my superintendent's report. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to trustee advisory committee reports. I'll start with the student trustee, Ms. LaGrega.
So on May 1st, we had decision day, so everyone got to show off their college gear and where they were going. On May 4th, Outdoors Club and Student Council, we had our beach cleanup at Smith's Point, so we walked along the shore and picked up some garbage. On May 7th, we had our 30 Days to Go ice cream social, which is really surprising. This year went by really fast. So we handed out a lot of cups of Italian ices. On June 7th, we have our whitewater rafting field trip, so a lot of students are looking forward to that. And for next year, we already started looking for options for homecoming and what we're going to be doing for pep rally and the parade. And we are planning for freshman orientation, which this year is June 30th instead of in August. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
Awesome. Great stuff. And you didn't wear your own college decision sweatshirt here tonight?
No.
That's amazing. I'm just, Ms. Felice.
Thank you. First, I want to just say congratulations again to our district clerk and the fine job she did with the election yesterday. Every year, your team outdoes itself from the year before, so congratulations on a job well done.
Thank you.
Just to echo some of the comments that the superintendent made, Civics Day was again another wonderful job. Always happy to be at Civics Day and happy that the elected officials respond in kind to our students. They do really love when they appear. The variety show was as what it was built to be. It was really, really wonderful this year. Got to attend the Brookhaven Elementary School concert, the third grade concert again, which was also wonderful. Compass Unity was able to attend that. I had to leave a little bit early, but I was able to attend that awareness workshop too. Very important, the work that Compass Unity does, so happy to be there. Attempted to go to Lacrosse Senior Day, so got to see all your posters and got to watch you warm up. I got called away at home with having to pick up something, so I couldn't stay for the game, but I said that it was a very intense warm-up and a very aggressive sport, so hats off to the young women that play that sport, and I hope you had a wonderful day. And then also got to attend the Unity basketball at the same time, so also Unity basketball was a wonderful event too, so those are the things I got to enjoy in the last couple of weeks, so thank you.
Good, thank you. Mr. Lillo?
Just a couple things. I just want to give a shout out to the unified bowling season. Ms. Reuter, Mr. Satterley, and Ms. Thompson are the coaches. It kind of gets overlooked. It's a kind of an in-between season. It's fabulous to see the kids working together and how they cheer each other on. I could say my daughter, she was partnered with with a student who is about a foot taller than her and much stronger, and he was so excited after he got a strike he almost knocked her down with a high five. But it's just a wonderful program that we have, which leads into the unified basketball, which is going on now. I love the program. I think it's great. If you haven't been to a game, you should go. It is kindness to the max between the students from the different schools. Just the way they interact with each other, it's fabulous. I believe their next home game is Thursday, the 29th. So if you have the opportunity, I would say go. Another shout out, Frank P. Long had their 4th grade 24 game tournament. If you have never tried the 24 game, it is very difficult.
There used to be an app
It
that
is.
you could play the game on your phone. I don't know
I
if
think there
it still
still
is.
is, yeah. It is insanely difficult, and to watch these kids in a matter of seconds look at a card and get the answer, it just blows my mind every time I see it. Thank you to Ms. Navi and all the staff who make that possible, and also congratulations to the champions. That was a fabulous experience. And a last note was I got to attend Civics Day at Brookhaven. So it's not just our secondary kids who are practicing civics. They did a whole presentation about healthy habits with their teachers. And what was great about it is they made these posters that were displayed at the Boys and Girls Club. So they really did reach out into the neighborhood, and they worked with Brookhaven Library as well as Cornell Extension to learn about planting seeds and what vegetables work and what doesn't. But it was just fabulous that civics has reached all the way down to our kindergarten students, not just secondary. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Kavanaugh?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Ms. Hayes?
I enjoyed a lot of the activities that have already been talked about. Civics Day, the high school variety show, middle school chamber concert, and let me just comment on that. One thing I really liked about it is since it was a smaller number of kids in each group, they had them all present on stage or out front for the whole time. And, you know, one group would do their pieces and then the other, and then they'd go around again. And I liked that because I could watch all the kids watching their fellow students with what they were doing. So that was very good. I enjoyed the chamber concerts at the high school. Again, art show and 2 concerts at the middle school. I also appreciated the art show and the music that was provided yesterday during voting day. And I got a lot of comments from voters who went through about how impressed they were at the wealth of talent that was shown, both, you know, in the art and also enjoying the music. And again, our clerk, Chris Flynn, made it all look effortless. with regard to her organization and hard work. I attended the middle school PTA as the liaison between the board and the middle school. And they are getting organized already for next year, finishing up all the things that they've done this year. They've been very active, and they, in particular on Teacher Appreciation Week, they went all out to let the teachers know how valued they are, and there was a lot of good feedback from that as well. I attended an equity committee meeting that had a special guest, who's the director of equity for BOCES. And he did like a presentation. And it was a very good presentation. I'm glad I was there. But our staff's already ahead of that, and they could be doing the presentation themselves. And I don't want it broadcasted to sound like I'm not appreciative of what BOCES is doing, because I am very appreciative that they have that office now that can be a benefit to other schools that are so far behind us. So that was quite rewarding. Thank you.
Mr. Barrett. I just wanted to say, great job on the election. Very proud that the district approved the budget. I want to congratulate the candidates who were selected, and certainly the job is not done yet, but certainly can appreciate the work that you guys and gal have in front of you for the future and next year. Which brings me to, obviously all of the items that I attended that were certainly an enjoyment, but amongst them was one of the things, and it actually cost me attending one of my own daughter's event this year, in which I want to at least brag about while I've got the forum to do it, is that she ended up with the 12th most strikeouts as a softball pitcher as a freshman at Bellport in the county, and in doing that, I believe, I know that she is more strikeouts than as a pitcher than anyone who is not a junior or senior in the county as well. So very proud of that as well, and ultimately, excited about all the activities and very proud of the senior class as they round down their days here at Bellport High School. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll try to be short, but I don't think that. First and foremost, I want to congratulate the superintendent on a successful budget. We all know it was a difficult budget year. The superintendent directs an incredible staff, and you all know who you are, and thank you for what you do from the administration and everybody in staff that contributed to this effort. Deserves a lot of kudos. When you have a difficult year, sometimes that goes overlooked. The budget passed by roughly 70%, and that's keeps in line with where we've been the last couple of years. So, and I thank the community for that. I also congratulate our 3 new trustees and welcome them and look forward to working with them, as much as I'm sorry to see my friend Joe go. But I'm happy to be working with some new people and look forward to having a full board of 7 trustees again, because we've been 6 for a while. So it'll be nice to have 7 again. So thank you. I also have to commend the art staff and everybody goes into that art show. It is great. I love to be able to get up there and spend a little time and run into some people and drag my daughter around with me, and we were there probably an hour longer than we had to be because we kept running into people that we haven't seen in a while. So, but it's the point is it's a nice community event when people are coming out to be able to spend a little extra time with the school and see the incredible artwork and greet some community members. There's a list of things to, I don't want to beat it off, I know we all said it, but the Accomplish Unity event was great. I really appreciate Ms. Robinson's efforts. I don't make it to those meetings a lot. That was probably my first one, and I really thought it was a great topic on vaping, and it was interesting to hear perspective of students and other people who are in it every day. And some of the things that I see in young people that are in my life, whether it's my kids or their friends, mirror what's going on, and I see one of the biggest threats is these vaping of the e-cigarettes, more so than marijuana or some of these other things. And I feel like it's an extension of these energy drinks. I feel like they moved on. And when you talk to young people, and I work with a lot of young people, and if I ask them a lot, why are you doing this? And they all say it gives me a jolt, wakes me up. So it's like the new caffeine jolt that they used to get out of an energy drink. So I thought it was great work being done there. So thank you for that. Civics Day is always great. Thank you to our legislators who show up and those that put that together. I know Mr. Blazek's here. There is no greater opportunity or privilege for a board member than to be able to directly converse with students, especially in an advocacy role, and especially at that age, right? We talk to high school kids all the time, and we see them and stuff like that, but to actually listen to them make a presentation and advocate for things that are important to them is really, it's cool. I wish there were more opportunities to do it. I did have a Nassau Suffolk School Board meeting last week. There are a couple of interesting things. First, as our special guest was the new regent, Felicia Thomas Williams. She didn't really say much. She was really there to observe and listen to us talk. It was a perfect meeting for her to be at as we talked about budgets and some things that have arisen through education over the recent couple of weeks and months. She seemed very intelligent. She was very studious, took a lot of notes, asked a lot of questions. She's a former administrator. I think she was a building principal in Brentwood for around 30 years. Was retired and coaxed out of retirement, or she had a business, I think, but very nice woman who pledged to stay involved with the Nassau Suffolk School Board Association. We've always had a nice relationship with Roger Tillis, but, you know, he's a busy guy. So, you know, we only get him once, twice a year. This new region has promised to really just be a little bit more accessible, so we're looking forward to that. And it is nice that she's an educator. No disrespect to Mr. Tillis, but he was an educator. And he is still a trustee, a regent for another year. One of the statistics came out of my last meeting, and I know it was shared in Newsday by the director of the Nassau Suffolk School Board, and I did think, and I know the budget's over, but it is worthy to talk about this statistic. 54 school districts on Long Island received 2% increase in state aid this year while receiving 0 last year. So 2% over the course of 2 years. South Country falls in that category. During that same 2 years, inflation is up 7%. And I don't really bring that up to justify our budget as much as the epidemic that's happening in education. This is only going to get worse as inflation rises and the tax levy, if it's not adjusted, which isn't even on the radar. The issues that we're seeing now, and we saw a lot of districts lay off staff, it is only going to get worse, it feels like, if something doesn't change. And I don't know what that's going to be. We will have to see. Next year, I think, is an election year for the governor. Is it next year?
Yep.
That's always a good year for money, but, you know, who knows what's gonna happen after and how that's gonna go. There are proposed changes to DASA in Albany. I have a copy of the bill I gave to the superintendent. I don't think it's anything major, but it does include board trustees and comments and policies, et cetera, that are discussed in school board meetings can be subject to DASA. Whether or not that passes or not, it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of momentum for it. I don't think the changes are, I mean, nobody should be bullying at a board meeting anyway. The concern from some of the advocacy groups is what is interpreted as that. If there's a discussion about statistics on a specific, you know, ethnic group or something like that, could that be taken out of context, and could that create problems? Those were some of the things that were brought up, so there's more to see on that. The other one, excuse me, there is a bill in Albany, I don't have the bill number. It does appear that there is a lot of support and that it will pass. It is sponsored by Senator Matera, and it is co-sponsored by Senator White, and it is strictly for Long Island school districts, and it is to require school districts to enter into a project labor agreement with the construction unions. Construction unions do have a point in the fact that they lose a lot of work to outside, companies out of state. I don't know what the numbers are, I don't know what the study is, but there's some big numbers being thrown about of lost wages for Long Islanders. It's an interesting bill and discussion, and there's probably gonna be a lot of talk on this over the next couple of months. Because number one, it's very difficult to enter into a labor agreement or labor negotiation with a group until you're really in the midst of the project, right? But there is some discussion, and we're waiting for confirmation. If you have a project labor agreement, you are able to avoid the Wicks law. And if you're not familiar with the Wicks law, basically the Wicks law means construction costs a lot more money in school districts. So I always use the example of the fence at Vern Kritz. A community member wanted to, offered to put a fence around from the baseball league because we had so much vandalism with the dirt bikes. He said, I can put a fence around this property for $15,000. We obviously can't just do that because we use the service and BOCES and because of the Wicks law, and we ended up paying, I think, $96,000 for the fence around Kritz. So those are examples of how construction jobs at schools cost a lot more money. This may be a way to circumvent that and save money. So that's why it is worth paying attention to this, especially as, you know, this board is gonna need to start discussing bonds and capital work and things like that. So, I'm not an expert on this, but you will probably see a lot of discussion in Newsday, the media, et cetera. And then finally, I did attend our community salutes, and I mentioned that because that's an amazing event. I think it's 10 years old now. There's probably not enough done, in my opinion, and they characterize it, Mr. Vecchio, the former president of Floyd and now the director of Nassau Suffolk School Board, has been running this and founded this chapter, and the quote of it is, you know, we're the first ones to say thank you. And it really is wonderful, and we always have a handful of students, although we only had a couple this year, right? Two, we only had
Potentially
two.
three.
Potentially three, I think we had 6 last year or something like that.
I know of another one who wasn't mentioned there.
Yeah.
They're not officially signed up, I know who you're talking about, they didn't
okay.
sign the dotted line
That's why I
yet.
say potentially.
Because I asked that walking in why that person wasn't there, and they're not officially signed. And we tried to get it in, the high school tried to get it done in order for them to be eligible for this event. And there is a cutoff of a couple weeks before, like May 1st or something like that, because they ordered some stuff for them, et cetera. But again, having a retired admiral from the US Navy who's a Belfort High School graduate, who speaks every year, is amazing. There's also somebody who speaks from time to time at this event, his name is Steve Castleton, I think. He is the civilian liaison to the Secretary of the Army, and he is also the representative for the New York Jets to the military, and he handles our community, the military appreciation stuff. He's instrumental in that. And it was really kind of a nice moment. There's a young man who's a junior at William Floyd School District who has been on that committee. You might know him, Mr. Fellows, I don't know his name. He's been on the committee for 10 years. He's an 11th grader. He's just always been around, so Mr. Vecchio brought him onto the committee. They presented him and his family with special tickets to the Jets game when they do the military salutes, and him and his family will be holding the flag on the field. So it was a really nice moment, and there's just so much emotion there. And it is so well supported by our local politicians, including legislator Lennon, who I don't know where he's even from, but he is.
Not sure.
He's a North Shore guy,
Sixth
right?
District.
He is, I did not know, is an active major in the reserves, and he works in the Pentagon, right? Somebody said he works in the Pentagon. He isn't, I don't really know exactly what he does. But it was just interesting to hear his perspective. He's a Marine, and it was really amazing that. So with that, I apologize for taking so much time. I'm done, and we'll move on.
Can I just ask a quick question
Yeah,
about
sure.
the Nassau Suffolk School Board?
Sure.
Do we pay dues to them?
Yes.
How do they afford to do what they do?
Well, they raised a lot of money. So, especially in the last couple of years since Mr. Vecchio took over, there are, we do pay dues. I don't know what they are. I don't remember exactly what it is. I think it's, I think every district on Long Island is a member other than like 2 or 3.
Okay.
But one of the things they've done over the last couple of years, a lot of the dinners have come down, of course, because of sponsorships.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Vecchio's done an amazing job of pulling in, especially, I think it was 2 years ago, we held an event at the Cradle of Aviation Museum, and it was all on wind energy, but more about manufacturing jobs. And the manufacturing community is really doing a good job, and the LAA is instrumental here as well in trying to connect with school districts to provide educational opportunities so that they can join the workforce immediately. And when you talk about manufacturing jobs, it's not like, you know, Bugs Bunny on the line banging the bomb on the hammer. They're desk jobs. Like, you know, manufacturing now is math and a lot of those things. So they brought in a lot of the contractors from the wind farms that are being built. They're doing a lot of great work. I've been able to connect them with some other companies that I know. A lot of the networking companies do a lot of sponsorship. Balfour, a lot of them are there, and that helps fund a lot of what they do.
Okay.
So.
So looking at a lot of they get a lot of sponsors. One thing I failed to mention about our community salutes is 4 of our seniors sang the national anthem, which is spectacular. And
Oh, they were amazing.
the Nassau Suffolk School Boards Association, they have a joint dinner in January. That's a big deal. Superintendents and school boards attend, along with vendors. It's kind of a big event. So Belport or South Country was invited to be the musical performing district for that event next year as a result of these four seniors who sang. So I'm really excited to kind of showcase us on a broader.
Which for all the years going to these meetings, I'm like, man, how come we're never up there? And I never asked, so I'm glad that Mr. Vecchio did ask and invite us, and it is great. And I was like, you know what, I never want to ask, but it is great, and they were amazing. And they wowed the room, and it's great. So, anyway, okay. Moving on, do we have any cards for, no, okay, moving on to items F. Am I wrong? No, the other meeting schedule, and then
Yep.
this is the first reading of the
Yes.
policy.
So the policy,
Well, let's start with item 1, right?
yeah, just pulling it up.
Can you take those individually? You
Yeah, well, the second one isn't a vote, right? It's only the first reading.
Correct.
So we're gonna vote on item F1. I can take a motion to do that now.
Motion.
Okay, so, you're making a motion?
Yes,
Item F1, motion by Ms. Felice, seconded by Ms. Kavanaugh. Any discussion?
yes, discussion. So, with respect to the time frame between the first meeting and the second meeting, July 1st and then August 13th, are we planning a retreat between that time?
Potentially, yes.
Well, then we'll discuss that at the reorg, when we have the new trustees, right?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, okay, no, that's okay. I'm just saying, I mean, that's 6 weeks between.
Yeah,
One
so
of-
that's the format we've been doing. So basically, there's a lull in the summer, July, that affords the opportunity for cabinet people to take some much deserved time off. And then we really get heavy in August. So we have the reorg meeting in July, which is a little earlier this year. And then July, we do a lot of the staffing work to prepare for that first of August.
I would just like to see us meet a little bit more than less because of, again, budget issues.
Yeah, so we
So
won't
if
be.
there's more
talking-
opportunities for us to meet.
Yeah, so we're, keep the
We don't
number
have
of
to
meetings
meet
are the
with
same.
cabinet, we don't have to meet with cabinet, necessarily.
But we have the same number of board meetings next year that we had this year.
I'd like to see more.
Okay, well, I mean, I think if we,
That's my only.
if
my
the
only-
need arises for an additional meeting, we'll
I'll
do that.
second your comment, and I'm not gonna be specific about when they should be, but
Yeah.
I feel like there've been things that we've needed to discuss, and they just kind of get swept aside as things go on, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, I mean, if anybody, like, during the year, if there's topics that come up, we have the option to add meetings, right? So-
I thought so.
Mhm. We need a quorum to add a meeting, so.
So we'll put those thoughts down on paper, and we'll make those requests.
Great,
Thank you.
okay. So there's a motion and a second, any further discussion?
I have a personal conflict. August 13th, if we could move that meeting like up a week, if that's possible.
It's August 12th. August 12th.
August 12th?
It's a
Let's move it.
Tuesday.
Oh.
Say that again?
I guess I have an old print. The week the one that's August 12th and
Well,
or
I have
13th.
the August 13th in front of me too.
It was
so it's
moved,
August
to-
12th.
it was
We
moved.
moved it because the dinner for the new trustees is on August 13th this year.
The scope dinner, which is normally on a Thursday, they invite all new trustees, was moved to the Wednesday. So to give an opportunity for the 3 new trustees, we
Okay.
moved it up a day
All right, no problem.
to August 12th from the 13th.
So it should be listed as August 12th?
It should be listed as August 12th.
It is.
Which it
It
is.
is.
And then we have another meeting on the 27th, so we do have 2 in
All right, I
August.
must have printed
Okay.
this out last week. Okay.
So, all right, there's a request to move the August meeting up a week,
A week to what day?
whatever that Wednesday is, that would be the
The
6th.
6th,
August 6th?
if possible.
Is there an objection from the administration?
The only thing is, we're doing, again, we're not gonna have monumental staffing changes, but, having it on the 12th just gives us a little bit more time to get people on the agenda that need to be approved for the school year. That'd be my only comment.
I have a real important reason not to be here the week of the 6th.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine, then I
Okay,
can zoom in
no,
or
all right, so let's
something.
leave it at the 12th. Okay, any other discussion?
Just a question about Zoom. We still have the availability to Zoom?
Yes, you still have the
Okay.
ability to Zoom, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the other option, you can attend by Zoom.
So then we're
So,
gonna
okay.
leave it at the 12th?
We'll leave it at the 12th.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And then the next one is the reading.
So we are required to have an official policy regarding the board ex officio. And so this is, we went over the policy with NISBA, so this is a recommended policy. I don't know if there's any discussion or, but this is the first reading because we'd like to put it up for vote in our in our June 11th meeting.
Any questions?
My comment is, I'm on that policy committee, and I am so pleased at having this policy put up for this board as opposed to the sample that was given to us by New York State School Board Association. It's streamlined, it's to the point, it takes care of what we need to do legally now that we are required to have our student ex officio members. So I'm happy about this one.
And once again, we're ahead of the game.
Ahead of the game, that should be our motto.
So it is a good point, because when we talk about it, the National Suffolk meetings, like, there's only, I think, one, maybe two districts that, that currently have an ex officio member, but, they're just, we're supposed to do it a little differently than we've been doing it, so we'll have to make some change. Like, there's more provisions for the student trustee to get involved in conversations beyond just reporting what's happening and things like that. So, and I think the policy covers that, right?
Yeah, and so part of the update tomorrow is that they're going to be a virtual meeting for ex officio students
Oh, there
for the
is?
upcoming
Okay,
school
good.
year, that they're going to kind of go over.
Who's hosting that?
NISBA, I believe.
Wait, but they're hosting it for the student members or for
Student
us?
members.
Okay, but then when does that take place?
In June, it's a later date in June.
So we're gonna have who our ex officio trust members gonna be by then?
Yeah, it's based on the.
Well,
Okay.
the policy
Yeah.
as it's proposed, first reading, is it will be the president of the student council.
Mhm.
And when do you know?
We should be knowing within the next few weeks. The next few weeks will definitely,
Nice heated election.
yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, moving on to item G.
Did you vote on that?
Yeah, we did, it was
Yeah,
separate,
we
right?
were-
Yeah, 'cause that was the only one, yes.
All right, G, the administration recommends approval of curriculum items reflected in schedules G1 and G2.
G1 and 2 can I have a motion. Mr. Lillo, seconded by Mr. Barry, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
Did
sorry,
I- did
are
I
you in
not
favor?
vote? Yes, I am.
You did, okay,
Yes, I am.
motion carries unanimous. Personnel, so we'll do 1 through 9, and then, 1 through 8, and then 10 will be separate. And I'm gonna take care of it.
Yeah, so the administration recommends approval of personnel changes reflected in schedules H1 through H8.
H1 through 8, can I have a motion? Mr. Lowell, seconded by Ms. Kavanaugh. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. Okay, moving on to item H10. Resolved, the Board of Education approves an employment agreement with Mr. Antonio Santana for services as superintendent of schools effective July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2028, and authorizes the board president to execute said agreement. Can I have a motion? Mr. Lowell, seconded by Ms. Kavanaugh. Any discussion?
I think I would just like to make the comment.
Sure.
So the effect of this contract is to extend the existing contract for 1 year.
Right.
It changes only the end date of the contract, no other terms are changed.
Correct. Technically, it's a new contract because we can't extend the old one.
Right,
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna
right.
get too technical, but yes. So it adds 1 year to the superintendent's contract. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-4, 1 against.
Just want to thank the trustees for the support, and I pledge my continued diligence and advocacy for the school district. It's very beloved to me. I have to do H9, which I omitted. So the administration recommends
Sorry.
approval of personnel changes reflected in H9.
H9 can have a motion. We missed it. We went
What
1
is
through
H9?
8.
I'm sorry, isn't that 1 through?
No,
I said
hold on.
one, I said,
The
said
original,
1
you
through
said 1
8.
through 8 on the original motion. We, both of us missed. It should have been 1 through 9.
No, it's 1 through 8.
But 9 is the consent.
Oh, 1 is the consent, you're right. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we just done
That's
right.
why I didn't object at the
I
time.
think we're done with
Yeah.
H.
I should have listed my-
Yeah, we're done
myself.
with H.
All right,
Okay.
sorry.
Moving on to I.
I is the last one. Okay, you're up.
the administration recommends approval of business items reflected in I1 through I8.
I-
I'm pulling out my-
Oh, we are, okay. I1 through 8, can I have a motion? Mr. Lewis, seconded by Ms. Kavanaugh. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimous.
The administration recommends approval of business items reflected in Schedules I-9.
I-9, can I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Lewis, seconded by Ms. Kavanaugh. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5-4, 1 abstention.
Who's the abstention?
Mr. Barry.
The administration recommends approval of business items reflected in I-10 through I-29.
I-10 through 29, can I have a motion? Mr. Lewis, seconded by Mr. Barry. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. No more cards, no cards for non-agenda, correct? Any comments from board members, closing remarks? No? Motion to adjourn. Mr. Lewis, seconded by Ms. Kavanaugh. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. And everybody go next. Tied up at the end of the first quarter.